Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on when you're watching this video. My name is Roger Yacht, and I'm leading today's devotion. Our topic is the question, where are you feeling resistance right now? Is the Spirit leading you to let go of that resistance or persist? Why? Some of you may know my background is electrical engineering. As you might imagine, my first thought that popped into my head upon hearing this question was a fundamental law of electricity called Ohm's law. It says that the voltage in a circuit equals current times resistance. Resistance in a circuit is what resists the flow of electricity in a circuit. Think of a light bulb in a circuit. It resists some of the flow of electricity in that circuit by consuming a portion of it to produce light. Well, as you might imagine, I quickly realized that this was probably not the type of resistance this question was talking about. But then the next idea popped into my mind. I thought of the resistance one encounters when you try to open a stuck door. However, again, probably not what the question was aimed at. So what was the question really getting at? Well, I figured that when in doubt, search the internet to see if there's anything helpful out there. A quick search of the internet pointed me to a Jesuit website and an article entitled Resistance in the Spiritual Life by Marina Brezins McCoy. The article noted that resistance is a term frequently used in spiritual movements to describe when we resist God. I knew now I was getting closer to what this question might be about. The article pointed out that people can resist many things to which God might be calling them to do. For example, change, even though change is a necessary part of life. Trying new roles that are uncomfortable or not in our wheelhouse. Letting go of something because at some level it feels like a failure. Haven't found an alternative to an unhealthy attachment because detachment creates a void that aches to be filled. You're accustomed to an emotional pattern and can't be honest with yourself about it. Do you want to avoid a problem? Do you just want to procrastinate, hoping it will simply go away? In short, ignore it, forget it, or try to pretend it doesn't exist. Sometimes we hold on to things that we should let go of because we would rather continue to suffer through them than do the hard work of making a needed change. The article noted that while resistance might seem like a negative, it helps if we can accept the concept that whenever we encounter resistance, we might also encounter God. In other words, we don't resist unless there is something to resist, but God's action is always there inside the resistance, at work and being persistent. As children grow up, they will start seeking increased independence and autonomy, but still sometimes just want to be a kid. In this instance, both the parent and the maturing child may resist God's call to begin to relating to each other in new ways. So as I pondered this question over a period of time, a number of different thoughts occurred to me. While I have done Lenten devotions before, I always volunteered to do them just after the request for devotion volunteers was made. While I knew that then there would be a variety of topics to choose from, so I could pick a topic I was comfortable with. This year I knew Pastor Taylor was looking for some 40 volunteers to do Lenten devotions, well, one per day. I thought I've done several in the past, so it's time to let others in the congregation do the devotions this year. At the same time, there was this nagging little voice that I could hear in the back of my mind saying, "You've done these before." While challenging and for me a bit uncomfortable, you could certainly do another one. Another week passed, and I could sense from the various ways Taylor was now asking for volunteers that just maybe he was having a little bit of trouble filling those spots, and that meant he was getting a little bit more desperate. I again considered volunteering. However, I now convinced myself that all the easy topics had probably been spoken for. This being the case, only the tough ones would be left. Holding tightly onto this thought, I continued to withhold volunteering. But that darn nagging voice spoke to me again saying, "But you really don't have a good reason not to volunteer to do one." Finally, at the end of a Lenten small group session, Taylor popped into the office conference room we were in and said there were only just two slots left to be filled. Could we help him out? One of the other participants in our group said they would gladly lead one. And then there was this awkward silence, with everybody in the conference room looking at everyone else, wondering who would be brave enough and help Taylor out by volunteering to fill the last devotional slot. I thought, not me. Again, however, I heard that small, persistent voice inside of me say, this time, yes, you. I finally gave up resisting and said I would lead the last devotional topic he had. Later, I reflected that I wished my wife, who was sitting next to me, had simply given me a gentle kick under the table as if to say, not you. You could see a big smile spread across Taylor's face. He had been saved by finally getting all the Lenten devotional volunteers he needed. Then he announced that he would give the two of us our devotional topics right then and there. Honestly, I decided now was the time to reply to that persistent inner voice with, okay, I relented. Now please let my topic be one that I'm comfortable with. Taylor told the other volunteer what their assigned topic was. I gave a quick sigh of relief, since it was not a topic that I would have been all that comfortable with. This was instantaneously followed by a more troubling thought. The last available topic could be worse, might even be much worse. As Taylor read my topic, now I felt relief flow over me. It was a topic that I might be able to do. That persistent voice had come through for me. Now I was faced with the real work of honestly answering the question I was to address and writing my devotion. I wondered for a bit in the wilderness of my mind, what was my honest answer to the question, what was I resisting right now and why? For at least a week, I resisted answering this question through procrastination and instead wondered why I had agreed to do a devotional. What was I possibly thinking? Deep down, I knew this was really just my way of avoiding the task I had agreed to do. After considering what the article said about where there is resistance, there is God, I began to ponder. I thought maybe I should simply relax and listen to see if God was trying to help me find a topic. Shortly thereafter, that little persistent voice became a gentler and more encouraging voice, saying it was time to quit procrastinating. You can do this, no sweat, simply name what you are resisting right now. I happened to agree with this small voice and named my resistance. Suddenly, a light bulb had come on. I could clearly see that I was resisting doing this devotional. As I more closely examined my journey to naming what I was resisting right now, I recognized that I had gone through a process that was eerily similar to what the article I found pointed out. When we notice our own resistance, it can be helpful to first name it. Second, be kind and patient with ourselves. Third, act against our own resistance. And lastly, try to listen to God. I'm certain that we all probably find ourselves periodically resisting what the Spirit may be leading us to do right then. Maybe the question you could ask yourself now as you look into the future is, where have I experienced resistance in the past, and how did God help me to move past it? See, in resistance to what God might be calling us to do, we each need to remember that God is always there with us. He will never abandon us, even when we may not currently be doing what He would like us to do. As I found, God can be very persistent. Have a great rest of your day.